we're collecting huge amounts of trash and stuff after these things. They clean them up, but they leave big piles of stuff we gotta pick up, and we gotta haul it up there and dispose of it and pay for it.
Will the renter or the citizen have a general idea? And I ask that because if someone is gonna have an event and they might choose to get a big black bag and take it home, I'm just saying, I don't know. But if they feel like, okay, that amount, maybe I'm just gonna take this garbage back home and stick it in my trash can. Like, I don't know if that might be something they want to do.
It wouldn't be possible to do that because we have no way to know
Know how
what they're going to leave, but
Mhm.
we wouldn't be unreasonable about it. I mean, if somebody, left what looked like it might cost $100 to do, we wouldn't take the whole $250. We'd just take what it, what it reasonably costs to get rid of it.
So, there's gonna be an issue with this, and I'm saying that because when you have rental halls, we've rented a hall before. So part of the cleanup, they charge high enough fee so that is included in the cost. And so there's no additional, expenses, and then the labor is not on us, when we rent certain, places. So why not just build the cost in to remove garbage versus.
We could do that, but the only problem is it might be unfair to some people who aren't gonna leave very much. And we estimated an amount in there for, if we have to have disposal, it may be too little or too much. I can see some people where maybe if we put an extra $50 on the charge, we could do that. But, and maybe just not indicate that it has any special purpose, just raise the amount.
What I would like, if I,
That may be the better way.
so if I remember correctly, because I rented, the YP Mitchell, where I had an event last fall, like a giveaway. And I feel like there were 2 trash cans out there. So was it, okay, so what I'm wondering is, standard, if they put trash in those, whether they fill them up or whatever, in my opinion, that could be in the standard rental rate, because our garbage guy should be able to come, attach it to the truck and quickly dump it. But if you went over and beyond that, that's what my opinion would be. Because like something like a giveaway for me, I didn't even fill up 2. And I personally don't want to pay a lot more, and I'm doing something great for the community.
Sure.
But if somebody went way over and they're leaving stuff outside of the 2, then I would think it is extra labor for the city.
And that is often what's happening. In fact, we've got one that we're reviewing right now where we hadn't returned the deposit yet. In fact, I saw it from their office here across the street. Piles of boxes and cans were full, and they're, you never have any way to know in advance what the situation.
But I guess I'm asking, could it be
We could average.
written in, or no, what I'm saying is, I'm saying in the current price or whatever the agreed upon price is, can we include the 2 cans as standard? Saying like if we're charging, are we charging 50 now?
But-
Is it 50 using a $200 deposit, I think?
But keep in mind what's happening, and that may be something else we need to look at. For the parks, other than Gene Clark Park, they don't charge a fee. They just charge a deposit on cleanup, and
I
then we
see.
give it back to them.
Oh, I see.
So that's the only exchange that there is.
Oh, I see.
And I mean, it's just not a one-size-fits-all situation for it.
So is it more than $50? And so is it like an extra $50, like the situation that Ms. Warren talked
That's
about?
typically about what it would
It's
be.
about $50.
Unless there's something extraordinary, like I say, where they got a bunch
So
of.
could you say it's a $200 deposit and a $50 garbage disposal, if not like putting that wordage in there? Because like she said, she didn't even fill up the garbage cans. But it is an additional cost on the city because now there was an event and now we have to dump the cans, whereas if there wasn't. So I understand that. But I think it's about finding the right and explaining it. I don't think we need to
We could do that.
put in a hidden fee. I think it just needs to be transparent and explained. Because most people, if you've rented something, there's an additional cost for cleaning. Most people will clean it up. They don't charge to remove the trash because it's usually built in the cost of renting the facility. Except for like excessive, you know.
So we're doing that.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments around this first, section 18 that we're talking about? Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I hear the city manager said that it's not always the same. Then who would make the determination when there's a difference from the standard, maybe $50 for the 2 cans? Who would make the decisions after that or from that point?
Public Works Supervisor will make the recommendation based on what he sees and what's gonna involve to take care of it, and a decision, I suppose, I would have to make.
And that's where I think the messiness is gonna come in, because somebody might say, oh, it shouldn't cost me, but if we just, I think it'd probably be better off to build in a standard cleaning fee, not cleaning fee, but refuse fee of $230, $240, you know, just build it into the cost.
And that may be a better way, because what we don't want is to encourage people to grab the stuff, take it down there and throw it.
Throw it and dump it, and I think we'll create a situation where people will start dumping their trash.
Exactly.
Versus-
We don't want to do that.
If we don't build something in automatically, because it's not unreasonable, we don't wanna add more cost, but at the same time, it's costing more to do it.
Absolutely.
And I think people are familiar with it, they rent the Citadel, if they rent something, that cost is usually built into the cost of the rental. Secret Garden, all of them have those costs built in. And it's just stated, this is for,
Mhm.
so there's no secrets.
We can do that.
Is there any other comments about that item? I'll go to B, but I will recommend between what? The state, because it's what, a $200 fee now?
$250 is a deposit.
Deposit, maybe $235 to $250 or something like that.
And then a clause, you can put a clause in there saying if someone, did something crazy and dumped a huge broken table, I mean, couldn't you put a clause saying if there was excessive?
We would probably need to do that, because
We do need to do
you'd be surprised how many times stuff like this, and people will bring stuff from other places and pile it up. Just like what we're going through with the tires thing,
Section 1B, rates and charges. The rates and charges for the service and benefits provided by said garbage and rubbish collection and disposal system or contract shall be prescribed from time to time by the city commission by resolution. The city's currently adopted rates and charges will remain in full force and effect and unless such rates and charges are amended by the city resolution. Stickers are required to be purchased at City Hall and placed in a visible area on items placed for garbage collection which do not fit inside the 95-gallon receptacle provided by the city, or which items are in addition to the 95-gallon receptacle provided by the city. Stickers must be purchased for the removal of large items and/or additional items at City Hall for the prices established from time to time by the resolution of the city. Okay. So do you have a sample of stickers, and what is the cost to create the stickers that people will use? And
I don't have all of that yet. We would have that, when we bring it for a resolution.
what about the categories?
What I'm gonna do is get the information being used from in St. Joe Township and Benton Township, and bring it, have take a look at it and make a recommendation on that. They're going to the same landfills. Good afternoon.
With the categories, so do we currently have any categories like couches, chairs, refrigerators? So
I'm sorry, Mayor. I heard your question, but I didn't hear the
It
response.
says
I said,
no.
we
He
don't.
said, no, there's currently no categories for disposal items, what's the place over there? Best Way, they picked up I had a couch, and so I had to go drive over there. The online system wasn't even paid for, wasn't even working. I had to drive over there to go pay for it before they even picked it up. And each item had a different cost associated with it. I think it was $35 or $40.
Okay, but what happened to our process? We had a process before reliable and the other one. Now, what happened to it?
The only other person that's picked something up for me.
No,
after
no,
that-
no.
No, I'm saying here, when the process was going, I think it was before we got our own trash company, was
But
Mr. Wells.
what happened to the process? There was one in place for every trash company that came here, including the last one. And Ben Harbor as well. Can we ask through the chair that we
city manager.
ask the
I have
clerk?
no idea.
Can
Since
I had a comment, I remember in 2019, I called that to city, because I had a large item, because I didn't know the process to pay whatever fee. And I was told at that time that large pickup truck wasn't working, and just put it out there and see if they took it. And they actually took it, so that's in 2019, I don't know if it was even a process then.
If I may.
There has always been a process. And as through the chair, I would ask that you ask Madam Clerk to pull a resolution that when we approved taking over the trash ourselves, there's in that resolution as to what we were supposed to be doing. So there is something.
Madam Clerk, did you hear that, comment? Said there was a resolution about, the process for trash pickup with, the company that took it, before we took it over. They picked up something for me one time, and I had to go down there and pay them too in cash.
There's always been a process. And I think it's if we can, what happened is the city dropped the ball.
This is it.
But there's always been a process, and I don't want our economics to drive up the price for our citizens, because it doesn't have to be that.
Respectfully, it may have to, because when I first got here, the dump was $55 a ton. And a year later, it was $60-something a ton.
And
Now it's almost 70. No, it's almost 70, it's not 90.
Well,
Just last year, there was, the only process that I know of that we actually put in force when we took over the trash was that anything that you were allotted 2 bags outside of the can, that they would take. Anything other than that, I think I had to call on several different occasions, and Michi or somebody would drive by and let me know how much I needed to pay in advance for picking up those extra items. And rightfully so, because wear and tear of anything costs. And, I mean, it just is. But I have another question that regarding our trash. And that is, how are we as a city actually separating the price of our trash that the customers have to pay as opposed to the water that other organizations are supposedly, that are paying? And there's a reason that nobody is addressing that's a really big problem that's causing people to lose their properties, and it needs to be addressed. I'll get to that. But how are we actually separating the trash from the water payments? Say my water I'm overdue. I owe $1,000. I can't pay it, but I have Southwestern Michigan Action Agency helping me. By this time, my water bill has gone to my taxes over at the county. I'm in default. I'm almost in foreclosure, but this organization has paid the city of Benton Harbor. That money has still been paid, so something is wrong somewhere in the mix of something, and it's happening right here. I went and I've been meeting with Miss Shelley probably once a month, keeping up with some other issues that I have going on. But I never could figure out why this kid's taxes that I'm paying is not moving. When I know that this organization has paid, and it's on this, the trash and the water is on the same bill. But this organization is paying the city of Benton Harbor, but who's taking it off the taxes?
So see, that's the problem. Why couldn't the community action organization write the check to the proper place? I mean, if we had a procedure where after so
It
long,
doesn't matter,
it goes
but
to
when
the
things
county.
leave here,
So
when
it's okay
things-
county.
when things
May I
leave
help?
here,
Yes, go ahead, sir.
when they go into default,
Yeah,
they go into
yeah,
default.
The issue is timing. If a person hasn't paid a water bill and got a balance that's lapping over a year, and there are also issues usually with the taxes and whatever else, but if it goes on the taxes, it gets treated just like it was the taxes. And that's in your charter, and it's not something that they just came up with. They
We
then put it on the tax bill.
mhm.
Somebody can't go and pay just the water portion of the tax bill at the county. Either they pay all of what's due and get released from it, or it stays there.
Okay,
And then additional water bills begin to accumulate from what has not been paid since that was settled.
okay. I talked to Miss Shelley, and she totally agrees. She said something has to be done. I'm not trying to take people property. The county just isn't trying to do that, but something needs to be fixed, and it's right here in City Hall. It needs to be fixed. And I know that Joey Andrews is aware of this problem because it's in our charter. And we discussed that several years ago. Because there's some people that's still behind that's just catching up from COVID. And this has been going on for years.
But why would that be when we paid people's water bills for at least twice?
And they paid as well.
And they paid, right.
And we just recently, me or individually, and some other organizations and some other individuals have lobbied for the funds that are there now, and they're paying up to, whose bill is $3,500? But we made sure that people, water was not being cut off.
Somebody called me and their bill was $10,000.
And they probably,
And I asked the young woman, why did she stop paying her bill? She said, well, I usually just pay it once a year. I said, why? I
I
said,
get all kinds of answers like
that's what
that.
she told me, that's what I'm saying. So I said, so what is it that you're asking me, asking the city to do? If
Okay.
you stop paying?
I had
But
somebody
how
say,
dare-
I
She said she
stopped
no, she
paying
said
because
she said she usually pays it once a year.
but how dare me, as a city, allow somebody else's bill to go past what anybody else's go past without turning them off? I mean, but we just came out of, we just
passed a resolution
Right.
about the payments, so people have had quite a bit of time to actually get caught up. But the
Yeah,
taxes,
I
the
was
tax
shocked.
issue,
I was shocked to
the
read
tax
that
issue
we,
was something else though.
what, last month we collected 400,000 as opposed to 100,000, and that's good.
Yeah.
But something is wrong, and we need to find it and fix it, because people's property.
So I have a question. So after somebody stops paying, do their water get shut off at any point? Is it 30 days? So after somebody's had 30-day missed bill, so it shouldn't get to
$10,000.
That's exactly
Something wrong with that
So
business.
what we had is people who had not paid a water bill in 4 years. And even-
Wait a minute, the city of Benton Harbor allowed that?
This is all through this COVID thing, in a period where we, actually, I think Was it?
Somebody-
We had a
Commissioner said it would
mandate,
be
we
in
had
the
a
shower.
mandate that we wouldn't cut
We
it
wouldn't
off.
cut off water,
All
so it was
that.
still, the bills were still.
And
All
it-
I'm asking
And it wasn't just water bill. There were no water bills being paid, there was no trash bill being paid, there was no sewage bill being
Right,
paid.
right.
But the city was constantly paying the joint
And-
sewage
and-
district for every gallon of sewage that went over there out of the general fund. And the same thing with the trash.
And we were lobbying the federal government for the help that we're just as entitled to as Americans as the floods that's taking place right now of the water that has come ashores of America. So my question is, something is wrong somewhere where people property is in jeopardy and it needs to be fixed.
But listen to this, Commissioner Adams, I hear what you're saying, so after 30 days, the water is disconnected.
I get,
So if somebody had, what, a $200 or $300 water bill, they probably will get an opportunity to, pay something on it or to catch up, because at that point, it's not being incurred.
okay, but
So think about
that's
this, so
happening.
the new tax won't even start
No,
until
no,
the
no, no,
following year.
this has nothing to do with the taxes,
No, it
period.
does, because
Wait,
the
wait,
water
wait,
bill is
wait.
being treated
I just
like,
paid my taxes. I just paid my taxes.
you said
my
the
water-
water bill was
let me
on
finish.
your, on your,
Let
on
me
your
finish,
tax
let me
bill.
finish. I paid my taxes. Okay, I didn't realize that this agency had paid my water bill that was way behind. Okay, so I don't have that to worry about because I just paid my taxes. Taxes rolling around again, I go to pay them. This water bill is on my taxes, which makes my taxes look like it had tripled.
Which,
Now are you getting it?
which means that the balance was much larger than what they paid.
Oh, no. This organization over here that's been siphoning funds to take care of Benton Harbor residents for years. Something is wrong somewhere and somebody needs to find out exactly where it is because people have been losing their properties over the fact that there's some double jeopardy going on somewhere. If I'm paying, okay, we pay,
I understand,
Okay.
I understand 100% of what you're saying.
okay.
So I just want to wrap around to my initial comment. So if it's already in the city charter, there's already a rule set up for after so many months. And Mr. Little might be able to tell us how many months that is that goes to your taxes. If you are at a year, you haven't paid your water bill in a year. Now you're seeking help from the community action or whatever organization. If you know the rule, and if you don't know the rule, if I haven't paid my water bill in 8 or 9 months, it might be smart to call and find out the rule. Why couldn't we just go to the community action place and say, hey, I'm already 10 months behind. If it takes you 2 months to process my request, it could be on my taxes. Why couldn't they write the check to the county and then you come with whatever you owe on your taxes anyway? You have that check and you pay the county. Why does the community have to pay Benton Harbor if it's already moved to the county? You see what I'm asking?
Yeah, but we didn't know that COVID was gonna show up and make itself a rule.
We-
But
we've
COVID
had
won't be
our-
here
Point of
forever.
order.
Yeah, point of order, go ahead, City
It's
Manager.
because the money they get comes from the federal government with regulations and strings on it, exactly like the money that comes from City of Benton Harbor. They can only do so much. They can't pay a $5,000 water bill or a $3,000 water bill. Or a bill that is part water, part something else, and part other things. They can only pay the water part. And only a certain amount of that. Now, they had a lot more flexibility and a lot more money back in 2021, 22, early part of 23. That money's gone now. Because it was ARPA money that they were basically passing through. They're getting smaller amounts of money now and stiffer regulations in terms of what they can do. They're basically trying to help address not having people shut off. And see, if a person had a big bill before and it's going over the taxes, it's no longer on the bill, so it may take less now to pay to keep their water on than what the total amount is that they owe.
Commissioner Canard.
One of the things that I noticed on, this week, every day I've gotten calls of someone wanting to buy my property. So I think that this is a lot, I've heard of others getting these same calls. So they're looking for people that's having any kind of little problem is to confiscate property here. There's one of the things I think that we have to be very much aware of, keep very close track of getting into any kind of question about the debt of our property, because there's something going on and I got to put my finger on it. I've never got calls like this before. They used to put cards in the mailbox. But now they're making calls to find out if you want to get rid of your property. So I think that can be all connected in with people being overwhelmed with either property tax or anything like that. So we have to be aware to keep close check on our property. I'm not planning on selling my property. And so I just try to stay very close attention to this. And I know we do have problems, others have problems, but this is one of the things that I think that is happening in our community.
Can I send you this? Right here is for first come, first serve until 9/30 of 26, up to $3,000 direct water assistance.
Go ahead, Commissioner,
What organization is that?
I'm gonna send it to you too. I'll just send it to you guys. I don't spend a lot of time
One
on
thing I
it.
want to
Just-
say
It needs to be
regarding to
fixed.
what Ms. Kennard just said, and it's factual. Let me explain to you what's happening here. In the last 36 months, there are properties that 36 months ago in a city would have sold for $4,000, $5,000, maybe even $2,000. That now, with a little fixing up and whatnot, you look on and you'll find that property going for $70,000, $80,000, $100,000. There is a significant increase in value of properties in Benton Harbor now. They're actually selling houses in Benton Harbor for $128,000, $160,000 or more. And that's impacting everything else. That was bound to happen ultimately, and it's here now. I mean, the first signs of that I saw when I returned here back in 2015 and happened to be looking on the internet one night, where someone was talking about rentals for $2,500 a month in Benton Harbor. And I looked at him, what Benton Harbor are they talking about? You know, come to find out, true enough, right downtown here,
Okay.
people paying that and more. Yeah. So property prices are rising, and you're right, they should try to hold on to them and do whatever they can. But keep in mind also now, out of 3,335 approximate occupied houses in the city, only 1/3 are owned by residents in the city. 2/3 of them are owned by outsiders that don't live here in the city, and many of those properties came to be in their possession as a result of them buying from tax sales and putting very little money in them. Some doing the Saturday night and whatnot that you've heard our enforcement people talk about, because they weren't getting permits to doing anything else. And just putting whatever and then putting them up for rent.
So I wanted to make sure, I felt like Mr. Little answered your question, Commissioner Adams, and I think it is a problem now that I understand what he just said. So I didn't know if Mr. Little, if you could just kind of repeat the piece where it was very important, where you said once the water bill goes over to the tax bill, it's not itemized anymore. So it just becomes you owe this amount for taxes.
Right.
And just say 2 months have passed and now you have a balance of, let's just say $200. Now the agency is paying your current 200, but now you still have that amount, that past due amount. So that's a huge,
No, but
that's
the lady
super
over here to
important.
take care of the taxes, she's saying the professional over here in the Treasury Department. she found it to be a problem that Ben Harbor needs to fix, period.
So if I'm understanding correctly, with it being in the charter, you would have to change the charter.
We've been through all that a couple of years ago, and it needs to be, the charter needs to change, period. I mean,
But it's a thing that's pretty common in most charters.
Yes.
And understand something else too, it's not only is it the water bill, but the unpaid refuse bill, unpaid, sewage bill. For that matter, even if we're forced to go and cut the grass or do other things that people are not paying for. As a matter of fact, one common thing, I spent half the morning dealing with this in terms of a business situation. When we've got, for example, a business that's got some obvious problems from just looking at it that may be of an environmental nature. The fact that it's like that is preventing another new development here in the city. Now, we've looked at all the avenues to try to get the state to do something, whatnot, it hasn't happened. We as a city have authority under slum and blight ordinances and so forth to take action. But if we go to court, get an order against that property owner for them to clean it up, and then they refuse to do so, what's our next course of action? The next course of action is we have to go in and do it. We have to pay for it and then put it on their taxes, which eventually could even wind up being a situation where if it's enough, we may take possession of the property in a foreclosure action. But it's the only mechanism that's available to the government to enforce these kinds of things.
So I have a question. So when a property is going over to taxes, and by the way, Commissioner Bernard, we get those calls every week too. My son was getting them. People trying to buy properties, and we're not
you ain't gotta
we're not in
say,
trouble about those properties, but they're continuing to do that as well. But in terms of the taxes, so you have $1,000 water bill, it gets paid, but it's still, so is that the only reason why you would be behind, or would it be a different tax situations? Because it's hard to believe that a water bill would actually do that to cause, because they don't even pick up a case until it's 3 years behind.
Thank you, right.
So the county don't even pick up a tax issue
no,
until it's 3
that's
years.
not true.
No, that's
I
true.
just
They don't
experienced
foreclose,
it.
they don't foreclose
I
until 3 years.
I just experienced it
Listen,
personally.
until a property is 3 years behind in
Mhm.
taxes, it has to be 3 consecutive years, then the county picks up a 3-year.
I'm gonna email it to you.
I own a couple of them, and we
I'm talking about the one I live in.
Because of somebody.
I'm not talking about own, well, you might have favor. I don't
I
know.
don't have no favor.
I'm just saying, I know factually,
No,
and I
and
try to
that is
talk about things that I know factual, that I
But I think there
experienced,
might
and
be
I
some-
pray that others are
If
not.
Shelley White is talking to anybody, it's because they're 3 years behind in their taxes.
But-
That has been a normal rhythm.
It,
and I don't know-
it may have used to be a normal rhythm. I'm telling you factually, I had a payment plan for another property that I was making payments on, and I'm like, why is this not moving? I didn't understand that the water had went on there, onto the taxes, and then an organization paid the city of Ben Harbor, and I'm like, no wonder that's not moving. But I know factually that I got a foreclosure and I was 1 year behind. Okay, I'll send you that paperwork, but my next question, Commissioner, back to the trash, chair lady, is, are we actually accepting payments towards the water without paying the trash?
I don't wanna guess at that.
No, it's in the
I think I
document
know
that
the
you're about
answer,
to
but
get.
I'm gonna check and find
It's
out.
in the document that you're going to
Commissioner
send.
Henry, you had your hand raised.
I was just wondering
I'm just
if you
sitting there
guys knew.
spinning, I don't know what y'all think.
Oh,
You're
you
on
said
train.
2 years?
Thank you.
Okay.
for asking.
I don't believe I
Y'all
can
made
do
me
that, but I am
confused.
gonna find out. Because I believe if they pay, they gotta distribute it across all of them, but I'll double check.
Is there any
And if it's not being done, I need to know because I'm trying to do my part for the least of us. Not the most, or those that don't worry about it, but the least of us. And if somebody don't address the other elected officials above us, then we'll continue to not know anything.
But I would say respectfully, we wanna make sure everything is being done right.
Exactly, exactly.
But at the same time, let's not forget, you've got another interest, and that is the interest of your city. It's gotta operate.
Definitely.
It wouldn't make sense for the city to let somebody come in and pay just the trash bill and not pay the water bill and not pay the sewer bill. Or pay just the sewer bill and not the others, or pay the water bill and not pay the others.
I don't
It's
think,
all indebtedness to the city.
I don't think that's the case. I think that somebody that may be living on a fixed income that really needs help with their water bill and the organization or the federal government not understanding how the city is operating, but we're going to give you this money through this agency towards your water bill. It's up to you to take care of the rest. But there's an order out for people to be able to pay on their water bill without it going towards trash. Read your email when you get it.
I would say that.
I should have sent it way before now.
Yes.
Back to trash. We go back to trash.
Go back to trash.
Back to trash.
That's where I was trying to
Yes,
go.
back to trash.
I was
All
trying
right,
to go back to
creation-
trash.
Creation of new garbage collection categories, we talked park rental deposits, we talked about that, of the right to retain any portion, but we need to be specific with the residents about that.
Yes,
We need to be specific about how much that'll be, and I think it'll be easier to say, put a dollar amount in there that'll be used for that, and if it's not, then return that portion, it's $50, and whatever the $50 that's not being used will be returned, or something, or, because we need to be specific, or $35,
We'll come back with something.
with a number, then we can talk about that. I think that was it,
Talk
with
about,
that particular one.
talking about numbers, is it possible to lighten the burden? I mean, I tried this for years to get a dumpster in each
But
ward.
it still has to be paid for.
I know. Can we defer some of those block grant dollars that's for this community?
No.
To go and take?
No.
Okay,
They will not allow you to do
okay,
that.
all right, worth a try.
But the other thing is, understand that this thing, I probably just putting flat $50 in there would probably work out in terms of balancing, because what we're looking at primarily is the cost of the disposal when we get to the dump. But there are a lot of other costs that go into that,
Right.
yeah. And all we're trying to do
Mm,
is bring the thing more in line with reality. And we may not cover it all. And that's okay if we improved our situation somewhat.
I agree, but I'm gonna say this because I've heard not only the gentle lady back here at large, Kennard, mention it, but for me too. Becoming a household of one, I rarely put my trash out. I might put my trash out once a month.
But this is specifically.
I know for items that need to be,
Yeah.
that can't fit in the can, or that's an overload from the can. I mean, but if you got
No, but the
one
deposit,
hundred, if
the
you got
deposit
one,
though, Commissioner Adams, I think you might have missed it, is we're talking about for park rentals. So there's
Oh.
an additional cost for that.
oh,
So
no, I
right now
thought we were
it's
still on
$200.
trash.
No, that's about
It's
part
part
of
of
it.
the trash.
Okay, I
Trash
thought-
being
Talking about
picked up
trash
after.
picking.
Oh, okay, I agree,
The city
yeah,
is incurring
that
those
makes
costs.
sense.
Yeah, that's
It-
what
it-
we're talking about right now.
If those that we're
residents.
not refunding, that
$50
rented,
going towards
yeah,
the
I
trash
think it should be
itself,
more
they will
than
get their $200 back and then the $50 going towards.
I think that it should probably be more than that if it lightens the load for the citizens of Ben Harbor.
But some of the citizens are renting that, so I don't think we
Well,
wanna do that. I think.
It will weigh and measure itself out.
we're gonna continue to talk about
Okay, we do.
it. Mr. Duncan.
If it's $100 fee, that should take care of everything and everybody, because if they took care of what they were supposed to do, they'd get their $100 back.
Mm-mm.
No?
I thought it was 250.
Or
Two
some parts.
fifty is for cleanup, if they pick it all up.
That's the rental period.
No, we're not, they get, like the use of citizen parking is, they get it free. Which is itself kind of unique, but nevertheless, they pay a deposit
That's what I'm
that
talking
they'll
about.
clean up after themselves. But when they finish cleaning up, if there's a pile there that's gotta be picked up, it's still gotta be paid.
Right, so that's what we're talking
Oh.
about.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay,
If
do you
there's not a
show-
pile there,
He has the floor.
if there's not a pile there after it's taken care of, how much money do they get back?
Basically, right now, you get it all back.
Okay,
Okay.
that was my question. Thank you.
They'll get it all back if there's nothing for the city to have to additional cost, so.
So they could actually call and say when they're finished, and somebody should.
Could come out and look, and I think
Yeah.
Tamiko does come out and look.
So-
That should take care of it. Just raise the.
But sometimes there's more trash, it costs the city a little extra because there's more things for the city to have to pick up. And so we just need to address that overage amount so that we're not continuing to incur costs.
Is that gonna be everybody? Because that event
That's
is
any,
happening
that's
on the
any,
river.
that's anybody
Okay.
that has trash to pick up.
Okay. Any organization that brings the
Every
park?
organization,
Okay.
some of the parks don't even have a cleanup associated with it.
Okay.
So
I beg your pardon?
some parks, there's no rental fee. We have parks in the city that there's no rental.
As a matter of fact, the only one we are actually paying a rental on is Gene Clark Park.
Well, I understand that.
There are certain parks that there's no rental fee.
There's no rental fee on any of them.
I was
except
being
Gene Clark.
charged.
Jay Clark Park, that's what we're saying.
I was being charged $250 for city
For
center.
cleanup,
That was
that's what I'm
deposit.
saying, that was a
And if it
deposit
was
for
cleaned up
cleanup.
afterward, they gave it back.
That's what we're saying, we need to address those extra
Oh,
over
rental
costs.
as opposed to.
No, Ms. Commissioner Adams, we're addressing the cost associated with taking out the trash.
Mhm.
So right now, if you want to rent the park, there's no rental fee except for the
Right.
deposit, the $250 or
Okay.
whatever. And so people are getting that back. But then there's the residue of all of the trash.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was the, what was the?
The event
festival?
in Yarborough Park.
Yeah, the event in Yarborough Park. And the Blues Festival.
Yeah,
All
all
of
of
those
them,
have
yeah.
additional costs associated
Our
with it.
people usually pick up. Yeah.
But the city is responsible for taking all that refuse.
Okay.
There's a cost associated with that. So we trying to address that by addressing this ordinance.
Okay,
It's a proposed ordinance that we're
Okay.
working on.
okay, so
So we need to move.
what about when our youth come into town and they help cleaning up? And those bags need to be picked up? Who's
That's
gonna-
still an additional cost for the city.
For who?
But we consider that a city cost,
Okay,
just as
okay,
if Public Works was cleaning it
Yeah,
up.
but it's still an additional cost.
There it is.
Oh, maybe
Whether,
pay
whether the city, whether it's a good thing or not, it's still an additional cost
okay,
for the city.
okay.
Is there any other questions or concerns on this item? before we move forward?
So we're gonna get categories.
Yes, categories, cost, possible costs for the, that we can build into this, yeah, or not, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The next item is the proclamation declaring November as Family Court Awareness Month. Geraldine, what's her name? Sent this, particular ordinance, for us to take a look at, working in the courts. I hope everybody has got a chance to see it. If there was anything that, anybody disagreed with, let's just see. A proclamation declaring November as Family Court Awareness Month in the city of Benton Harbor. The Benton Harbor City Commission approves a proclamation declaring November as Family Court Awareness Month. November marks Family Court Awareness, a time to focus on critical importance of family court system that prioritizes child safety and best interests of the children. don't wanna read this ordinance to y'all.
Please, please don't.
I was like, I
It'll
don't
make
want to.
me sick.
So is there any questions about this that anybody had?
Is it costing the city any money?
No, it's not.
Isn't that something
There is
that,
nothing,
isn't that something that's legally binding anyway?
no, it's not. It's something that they, just like with breast cancer awareness.
Right.
It's a similar thing to that.
Thank you.
So I hope that we move this whole thing forward. Back to the Bricks Car Show, that came from, it had to come from Commissioner City.
That's Alex.
They did this last year, they had some nice t-shirts associated with it.
What happened?
Downtown. Back to the Bricks Car Show, you were involved with that, weren't you?
No.
Oh, you were not, it was really nice
I
last
didn't
year.
know what was the car show. What,
It was
who's
a car show right down here, right downtown.
If they leave trash.
Where?
I'm just kidding.
Where was that? The park.
Something to keep your eye on if you're down there, Mr.
Always
Jones.
something to
Yeah,
keep your eye on.
No, it's on,
Make sure we ain't discriminating.
it's right here.
Oh, it's right there.
Is that? They do that every year?
This will be the second year of
It'll be
it.
the second
Yeah, they
year.
had t-shirts, these great
What
t-shirts that had different cars on the front of it.
When
It was
is it?
really nice. It was last summer.
The car
I just know
show
maybe what. Maybe, and you know what, maybe if I help.
in the
Well, why
arts
I'm asking.
district.
Where's the date?
You had to say that it was okay. I think they went to the police
No,
department.
they ain't always.
The arts
I remember
district.
this, so. But I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Dan McGinnis, 251 East Market. The reason I'm asking is, Chief Greg and I talked about, he wants to do a card show, Ben Harbor Township Card Show.
Mm.
And I know we had our own years and years ago, we tried to bring it back because of personality differences, didn't do it. So, I don't know, not saying this can't go ahead, but that's something that Chief Abrams wants to do at the Ben Harbor, us together. So I don't know, I wasn't gonna bring it up yet, but.
Yay.
It'll be nice. I think that will be. Did he say what he was going on? Someone got a resolution. Can you speak to this?
I cannot really speak to it, it's his discussion item, the only thing I know is that it's a 6-day. They stop in like 4 or 5 different cities, and it's the first week in June, I believe, or second week in June. They're proposing June 6th through 11th, but we don't know what day it would be here,
Oh, it's June 6th of 2025.
2025.
To do what?
Car show.
Car show?
So they need to give us more
So
information
June-
than
so
that.
And I think that's why he
Yeah,
just
why
wanted
he's
to
doing it.
discuss it, it wasn't something that he wanted to move forward yet,
Yeah.
but just wanted to talk
Well,
You
about.
said
Nothing
June
to
6th
talk
through
about.
what?
Introduction.
6th through the 11th
That's.
is
okay,
their
that is a week.
tentative dates.
So that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Glad we got our-
Wednesday.
But they only
But
give
we don't
us
know what
one
it
day.
is.
Yeah, I don't know,
Right, it'll just be
it'll only
one
be
day.
one day.
Yeah, it only be one day. Yeah.
Last time it was a Sunday? Was it a Sunday or Saturday?
It make no difference. They need to bring more than that to the table, than that conversation y'all having. You don't know nothing, you're guessing about everything. Now, what can you make a decision about?
We're not making a decision. It says discussion on here. It wasn't a decision, it wasn't even an item to be moved. It says
It wasn't
discussion.
even nothing to discuss, cause nobody gave you any, nobody's here. You don't have no
Did he
information,
step out?
She don't ever have.
The
it.
mayor
Him and the mayor stuff.
wanted them.
so
Excuse me, city manager, we're on this last item. We need you to, Mr. Commissioner,
Well,
would you-
Mayor,
I
let
make a
him
move
go.
that we adjourn and go home.
Cause I am about to do that.
Well, let's do it then.
And then you'd be wondering, well, what happened?
Hey, don't pass nothing. with
It happened and we didn't discuss it.
Yep,
There was nothing
I,
to discuss
adjourn this meeting and then, did you move it to, next week? I mean,
next
to
month.
Parks and Recs?
No, next month.
Did you have to go out there for-
Public safety.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Uh-uh.
We'll move it to public safety. All right.
That's where it's supposed to be.
They want to move, that item will go to the next,
It's gotta be approved by him
back to
anyway.
the bricks. It was a discussion.
Yeah, basically, last year, they contacted us and we didn't move fast enough, we weren't able to get them, they contacted us again to see if we'd have an interest in having them do their car show they bring in. And I would really recommend that we entertain it because it just brings tons of people.
Can somebody from the organization, because I remember seeing the t-shirts, they were really nice, that they were giving out, in conjunction, could somebody come from the car show to come to Public Safety's Committee next week to talk about it? Because they're gonna have it in Dwight P. Mitchell Park, like they did last time.
Actually, the number of cars and stuff they have, they would be all around
All over
the
the
street
city.
here. They cover the whole area.
Yeah, but it would make sense to go to Public Safety, so they can have a discussion about what that'll look like. I know they did it last year, because I remember, all of the cars.
Back to the Bricks did come, that was another organization.
Oh, that was a different organization.
Yeah, that was different.
See,
But I will ask,
Talk about it,
the
right?
people at Back to the Bricks. if they could,
What do they do, tailgate?
Yeah.
They do that in Flint every year, it's a motorcycle.
They tailgate?
It's a motorcycle, back to the Fritz's, motorcycle. They do it in,
These cars.
this one's cars.
Yeah, different, years and vintage cars, all kind of.
In Flint, I know they have something like
He
that.
said they go through the whole city, so what they do, tailgate?
So they gonna talk about it at the
What it
Public
is, they
Safety
would
meeting,
park the
Commissioner Iceland.
cars
This meeting is
all
adjourned.
around so people walk around.
Yeah.
So they low ride.
I'll ask them,
Commissioner
if-
Iceland,
I'll ask them if
you
they
need to
can
come
come.
to your committee
Tomorrow, I mean, next
next
week.
week.
I'll ask them if they would be willing to do that. I don't know if they will.
Well, just send them something through the video.
And if I could, one other item